Welcome back to the Daily Base Report. I'm Coach Matt coming at you with another video, and today we're going to dedicate the entire video to sticky stuff because it is the big topic on baseball today, and I don't want to go over all the other games. It's not worth it because this big thing known as spider tack, rosin and sunscreen, and pine tar has taken over all of baseball, and we need to talk about it. Welcome back to the video. Let's get right on into it. Alrighty, so if you haven't been here before, I'm Coach Matt. This is the Daily Base Report. We're going to go over all things baseball, all big news. We're going to go over trades, free agents, injuries, etc. So this is what we're going to talk about. Big news. If you haven't been here before, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new content. I'm going to be going live this Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So keep an eye out for that. Set a notification reminder, something so that way you can check out that day on Saturday, a live stream there. So we have the official memo from Major League Baseball about the foreign substances being used by pitchers. So just to give you an idea, Anthony Castrovince wrote an article called New Guidance on Foreign Substances announced on MLB.com. So what's going to happen is this upcoming Monday, they're going to start cracking down on the foreign substances on the hands. There's going to be a 10-game suspension, not a 10-day suspension, a 10-game suspension. So what that means is it's not day 1 to day 10 and they just, get paid and get to basically a 10-day vacation. They're actually going to be suspended 10 total games. It's about a third of a month. But that's not the only thing. They will also suspend a catcher if they're catching a ball and they have like the pine tar in their glove or on their hand or what have you. They will suspend the catcher for the same 10 games. So when you look at that, you don't think, oh, that's not too bad because I'll just pull someone else up and we'll go from there. Well, that's the bad part is when you lose a player to this suspension, you will not be allowed to pull a player up or put this person that got the sticky substance suspension. You're not going to be able to put them on the injured list or put them somewhere and then fill your roster with someone else in the minor leagues. You're actually, in fact, going to have to play, so to speak, on the penalty kill. There's a hockey reference for those of you who are hockey fans. You're going to be playing with less players on your bench, less players in your bullpen. So this is kind of a big deal. The issue that we have right now is Trevor Bauer today on Twitter put sunscreen, sweat, and rosin on his hand, mixed it all up, put a ball on his hand, and held it up like this, and he was like, is this legal or illegal? And it literally held, and he was able to like peel it off his hand. So that was just sunscreen, sweat, and rosin. That's all illegal stuff. Like, you can't tell a pitcher not to wear sunscreen or rub sunscreen on his hands, on his arms. Like, at that point, that becomes a health issue, like a health risk to the pitcher for not protecting their skin. And especially if it's of the lighter skin variety, they have a high risk of skin cancer. You don't want to be out in the sun all day, especially if it's a Sunday day game, whatever. So you can't outlaw sunscreen. Rosin has been part of the game for over 100 years. I don't even know when rosin, started. If any of you know, when did baseball start using rosin to keep your hand dry to throw the ball? It was a grip agent, but it wasn't illegal. It was a legal substance that was allowed through Major League Baseball. So if you know when rosin started, comment below. I haven't researched that at all, so I don't know when that started. But if they put sunscreen on their hand or their arm and they like just kind of reach like this, then they touch rosin, all of a sudden it gets sticky. Is that legal or illegal? Like, that's the question that Major League Baseball pitchers are starting to ask. Like, what is legal and what isn't? They're just blanket statementing these foreign substances. So I don't know what you guys think in the comment section below. Let me know. do you think that this foreign substance is limited to all substances? So that includes like the blister agent that like Walker Buehler uses. He uses this kind of like skin-like thing he puts on his fingers, and it like encapsulates the blister so it doesn't make it any worse. They also use, and that was legal. That's a legal substance, by the way. You can't use pine tar. You can't use sunscreen. You can't use like what is legal, what isn't legal. Like that's the question mark I think that's being asked. So there, that same author was saying the integrity of competition is the utmost importance to us. But if that's the utmost importance, you have to set clear lines for these players, and that's what I think is the biggest thing. Is there isn't a clear line. It's just a basic blanket statement. So what's going to happen now is, during a game, a starting pitcher will have one mandatory check per game, and each relief pitcher will be checked at the conclusion of the inning in which he entered. So he'll be able to pitch the entire inning with the substance, get at the end, and then get booted. Like that's what's about to happen. Let's see here. In general, inspections will be conducted between innings or after pitching changes to avoid a delay of the game and to allow the umpire to perform a thorough check, including the hat, glove, fingertips of the pitcher. So they're going to check the hat, they're going to check the glove, and the fingertips. Okay, so they're not going to check belt buckle, they're not going to check other areas. So that's something that pitchers are probably going to keep in mind. Umpires may perform a check at any time during the game when the umpire notices the baseball has unusually sticky feel to it, or the umpire observes a pitcher going to his glove, hat, belt, or any other part of his uniform or body to retrieve or apply what may be a foreign substance. That has been happening across the board for a long time. But what happens, like, say a pitcher's shirt comes out and he has to tuck his shirt in, but every time he throws the ball, the shirt comes out and he has to keep retucking that shirt in over and over again. Is that him going for a substance, or is that him going to tuck his shirt in? Like, they're going to waste time checking this out. They want to speed up the game. They want to deaden the baseball, speed up the game, and then they're going to start doing these checks. And these, like, it's outrageous what I see right now. A player who possesses or applies foreign substances in violation of playing rules will be immediately ejected from the game and suspended. The umpiring crew shall be the sole judge as to whether the rules have been violated. Now, does that mean that there's going to be an appeal process? Because if you get just thrown out and it's untrue that you definitely have not used a substance, even though it looks like you've used a substance, or the ball is moving in a weird way, or the ball has sticky substance because it hit the pine tar of the previous bat, like, what does this even mean? Like, I don't understand, that they're just throwing this rule in. First off, like, what, 67 games into the year or 70 games into the year? I don't even know how many games we've had. 66 games. The foreign substances is not subject to challenge using the replay review system. Is not subject to the replay review system. Now that is a question mark. Why are they not allowing them to look at the review this? Like, if a manager wants to challenge this, why is it that they can't review a certain movement that the person did to clarify? That's a big question mark for me. Although the foreign substance prohibitions do not apply exclusively to pitchers, the pitcher ultimately will be responsible for any ball that is delivered with a foreign substance on it. If a player other than the pitcher is found to have applied a foreign substance to the baseball, i.e., the catcher applies a foreign substance to the baseball before throwing it back to the pitcher, both position player and pitcher will be ejected and automatically suspended. So I talked about that earlier. Catchers and pitchers will both be suspended. Catchers will also be subjected to routine inspections. Umpires will also inspect a position player if they observe conduct consistent with the use of a foreign substance by the pitcher. Position players will not be ejected for having a foreign substance on their glove or uniform unless the umpire determines that the player was applying the substance to the ball in order to aid the pitcher. So this goes into like Justin Turner, who puts pine tar on his back left shoulder because when he finishes his swing, the bat hits the back of his shoulder, and it has pine tar and it sits right there on his jersey. So that would be legal because it's not intended to be used for the grip of the pitcher, and he's not like taking the ball, rubbing it, or taking his hand and rubbing it and then putting it in the ball and then giving it to the pitcher. A player who refuses to cooperate with an inspection conducted by the umpire will be presumed to have violated the rules, resulting in an ejection from the game and a suspension. Trevor Bauer is going to get suspended for this because he will be, I don't have anything on me, stop, and they're going to say, you are not allowing me to conduct my search. You are now suspended and ejected. Rosin bags on the mound may be used in accordance with the rules. All substance except for rosin are prohibited per the playing rules that clearly state players cannot apply a foreign substance of any kind to the ball and may not have on his person or in his possession any foreign substance. Players may not intentionally combine rosin with other substances, i.e. sunscreen, to create additional tackiness, or they risk ejection and suspension. Okay, so Trevor Bauer now has his answer. So you cannot mix the two on your forearm, which you see players, they're sweaty, and they'll just take the rosin and then rub it in and then go to the ball. So you've seen that. So that actually provides some good clarity. Pitchers have been advised not to apply sunscreen during night games after the sun has gone down or when playing in stadiums with closed roofs. So the closed roof arenas, there's just no excuse. Cannot wear sunscreen. That's it. To ensure standardization of the rosin bags, clubs must submit the rosin bag along with game balls to be reviewed by the umpires before the start of each game. So maybe we have a situation where teams are putting something in their rosin bag to create more tackiness. So that's something that I didn't think about before, but maybe that rosin bag had been messed with in the past. Club personnel who help players use foreign substances, handle foreign substances, mask players' use of foreign substances, interfere with collection of baseballs, or otherwise fail to report such violations of the playing rules will be subject to fines and or suspensions by the commissioner. So they're going to fine players who aren't adhering by this rule. Any club employee who encourages a player to use a foreign substance or otherwise trains a player how to utilize a foreign substance in violation of the rules will be subject to severe discipline by the commissioner up to and including placement on the ineligible list. So if you are a person in the front office or on the training staff or a pitching coach or hitting, whatever it is, and you are giving instruction on how to do this, you will then be disciplined by Major League Baseball. Clubs and club personnel are subject to sanctions for failing to adequately educate and manage or police their staff and players to ensure compliance with the rules. The Department of Investigations will investigate clubs whose players repeatedly violate the rules to determine the extent to which club personnel were aware or otherwise condone the practice. So this sounds a little bit like in the NHL, they have the suspension when a player hits a player, it's definitely flagrant to the point where they've injured another player or it's intentional. They have this player safety department that look over the video and they determine what is an adequate suspension and fine for that player. Sometimes if they reach a certain number of violations, that you might even see an entire season suspension. So that's what it kind of sounds like. It sounds like it's a 10-game suspension, but they have this Department of Investigation. If it's a repeat offender, they may increase that length of time and the salary amount that is going to be fined and or you get the idea. It's like a steroid where it's a 60 game, then a 100 game, then a 162 game suspension. Clubs may not replace on the roster a player who is suspended for any on-field violation. So that's what I talked about earlier that has been going around the Twitterverse, is that if you are suspended, you cannot be pulled off the roster and you cannot be replaced by anyone on a AAA team. You cannot be pulled from a roster. So very interesting to see. MLB will closely monitor the effects of this policy on competition and on player health and may make future modifications to the enhanced enforcement guidance as appropriate. So Tyler Glasnow today in an interview, he's got a UCL strain in his elbow. So he has said the last couple of weeks they've been having this big discussion about the sticky stuff, so he stopped using sunscreen and rosin. He came out and said, I was using sunscreen and rosin. But he thinks that his elbow wasn't feeling all that great in the previous start, and then the start he had yesterday, he had to come out after 4 innings because he had a UCL strain. It's now become out that he has a partial tear. But what that means is he thinks his injury is being attributed to not using the grip agent, and that we are going to see a spike in injuries from pitchers. We're going to see a spike in hit by pitch. Batters are going to be hit more because they're not going to have the same grip. So I don't know what you all think. I think this is extremely interesting and crazy and ridiculous to do this right in the middle. We are 66 games into the year, and they are changing the rules. Just straight up, just throw the papers. We're just going to change it all. So, just man, what a ridiculous thing. So, I'm going to post this article in the description down below so you can see it. This was written by Anthony Castrovince. So check him out. Check out this article. It does a very good job of explaining things as I'm reading it here. Definitely provides a little bit of clarity on what is happening with this substance abuse on the ball, the foreign substance. But I don't know. I say use all the dang tack you want to use. I say use the super tack, not the typical spider tack that you open up, it kind of pulls out and it's kind of thick. The super tack, where literally you pull the top off. Let's see here. If you pull off the top, it would literally stick. You have to pry it apart. It's like caramel, and you have to grab this. It's a thick caramel-like substance. So we use it in strongman training, where you put it on your forearms and you pick up 250 or 300 pound cement stones. So they call it Atlas stones. So that I'm familiar with that. You get these things called stone kisses, where your whole forearm is bloody. So anyways, that's all for today. We'll see you all again next time.